Hello and welcome. Now that we have established how to prove that two triangles are congruent, we're going to talk about why that is helpful. 8.5 is about using triangle congruency. Our objective in this lesson is that we can use triangle congruence to draw other conclusions, to show that two angles are congruent or two sides are congruent. So let's go ahead and jump in. All right, this lesson actually doesn't have any new vocabulary and it doesn't have any new theorems. We're sort of looping back to what we learned about in 8.1. In 8.1, we learned that if we have two polygons, two shapes that are congruent, then we have corresponding angles and side measures that are also congruent. And we sort of specified what that looks like in triangles towards the end of that lesson. We learned CPC, TC, that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So really what we're going to do in this lesson is, now that we know all of these different ways to prove that two triangles are congruent, what we can do is we can establish two triangles are congruent in order to actually prove something else, or to find another angle measure, or to find another side length. So we're just building on a little bit to what we already learned in 8.1, now that we have all the knowledge about the different triangle congruence theorems. So let's go ahead and jump into a proof. All right, the proof says, explain how, we are still sort of going to set it up like a two-column proof, but explain how you can use the given information that the hang glider parts are congruent. So looking at this picture, let's first talk about our given information. We're given that angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent. So here's angle 1, here's angle 2. And we're given that angle RTQ, and the T is sort of hiding right here. That's this angle. RTQ is congruent to angle RTS. That's this angle here. And we're being asked to prove that two sides are congruent. So the idea here is, if we could show that these two triangles are congruent, then I can verify that these two sides are congruent by the corresponding parts of congruent triangles theorem. The fact that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are also congruent. So looking at these two triangles, and I'm going to just kind of make sure we can see them. We're looking at this triangle and we're looking at this triangle formed with this hang gliders component here. We know that we have two angles, right? If I look at my given information, this is an angle and this is another angle. So if I'm thinking through my theorems for congruency, side, angle, side, 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 hypotenuse, leg, angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle, I'm leaning towards, I'm probably going to be using one of these two theorems to prove triangle congruence. In order to do that, I need a side length, and it looks like the side length that I'm likely going to use is the one that both of these triangles share, and that's the side length RT. So it says explain, but really what we're going to do is we're going to lay out the proof. So I'm going to start by saying, well, we know that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, and I'm going to make a note to myself that that's the angle, the first angle. We know that angle RTQ is congruent to angle RTS. That's my second angle. And we know both of these things because they were given to us. So notice I'm still sort of setting this up as statements on the left and reasons on the right, even though it's not a formal proof. I also know that the side length, TR, is congruent to the side length TR. It's congruent to itself. There's the side that I need. And that is true because of the reflexive property. I'm saying this side is congruent to itself. And the reason I'm saying it is because that establishes the side part of my triangle congruency. So these three statements allow me to conclude the next, that triangle QTR is congruent to triangle STR by angle, angle, side, triangle congruency. And since we have now said, hey, these triangles are congruent, that means their corresponding parts are. And notice here I have QT and ST. So my ultimate goal was to show that the length QT is congruent to the length ST. And I can say this by CPCTC. So since corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent, these remaining two sides are congruent. So really, we're just adding one layer. Instead of stopping at proving the triangles are congruent, we're going to go one step further and say, since the triangles are congruent, I can now conclude something else. Let's look at a few more examples. All right, for these examples, it does say explain how to prove the statement is true. And if you would like, you can write sentences out to explain it. But really, I'm just going to sort of format it in a 2-column proof way. But because it says explain, if you would rather write in words how you're going to do this, I think that's totally fine. And I might take more of that approach on number 3. But let's look at number 2 first. So we are being asked to prove, or how we would prove, that UV is congruent to XV. So again, my first thought is I'm going to start by showing the triangles are congruent so that I can allow this statement to be true. Thinking through how to show the triangles are congruent, I can see given in the diagram that I have these 2 angles are congruent, that I have this side length is congruent, and then my next thought is these 2 angles are vertical, so they're congruent, which means I could show these 2 triangles are congruent using angle side angle. And then I could use CP/CTC to show that UV is congruent to XV. So if you wanted to explain that out in words, I don't think there's anything wrong with using sentences to explain that. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just say angle T is congruent to angle W. I'm going to make a note to myself that that's an angle. That was given. That the side length TV is congruent to the side length WV. That's a side. That was also given. Then I'm going to say that angle UVT is congruent to angle XVW because of the vertical angles theorem, which allows me to conclude that triangle UVT is congruent to triangle XVW by angle side angle triangle congruency, which means I can then conclude that UV is congruent to XV because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay, for number 3, we are trying to prove that TS is congruent to VR. Now, we can go about proving this formally, but for this one, I'm going to sort of write more of words just so that you can see a second type of example. So when I'm thinking through how I would first prove these 2 triangles are congruent, I want to notice I have 2 side lengths and I have an angle. I also want to notice that this is not side angle side because it's not the angle between that I know about. So thinking through, and I'm just going to rewrite up here, side, angle, side, 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 hypotenuse, leg, angle, side, angle. I have 2 side lengths, which leaves me with really these 2 options. And hypotenuse, leg does make sense here because I have a right triangle, and I do have information about their hypotenuse having the same measure, or having the same length, and a leg being corresponding. So what I'm going to do now is instead of writing it in a formal proof like we did over here, I'm going to do more of a explanation. So what I would do first is I would note that we have 2 right triangles and that we have a hypotenuse and a leg that are corresponding and congruent. So we have 2 right triangles, triangle STR and triangle RVU, with corresponding hypotenuses that are given to be congruent. SR is congruent to RU. And corresponding legs that are congruent, RT is congruent to UV. So we could show that the triangles are congruent using hypotenuse leg. This means that our remaining side, the thing we're trying to prove, so TS is going to be congruent to VR since corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Again, I sort of prefer to just actually lay it out like a proof. I think it's less writing, but it's very cool to be able to put in words and sentences what we're trying to say as well, and it really helps you establish in your brain the idea and approach that we're taking when we're completing this proof. All right, we're going to look at one last example, and then we'll wrap up this video. All right, for our last example, We are given the two shown triangles, and we're trying to show that angle JLK is congruent to angle MLN. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you pause the video, decide, do you want to write words or do you want to format this like a proof? What triangle congruence statement can you make using which theorem? And then how can you use the corresponding parts to establish what you're trying to establish? Then unpause the video and see how you did. All right, so my first thought was I have an angle, I have a side, I have another side. Oh, look, that angle is the included angle. So I'm going to use side angle side. So I'm going to start by saying that JK is congruent to MN. That's a side, and that was given in the diagram. That angle J is congruent to angle M. That's my angle. That was also given in the diagram. And that JL is congruent to ML. That's my third side. And that was also given in the diagram. So we were actually given all the information we needed in the diagram to show the next statement, which is triangle JLK is congruent to triangle MLN by the side angle side triangle congruency statement, which means we can draw the conclusion that we're being asked to draw. Angle JLK is congruent to angle MLN because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up this video. All right, I love this lesson because what we were really doing was tying together everything that we have learned in Unit 8 as a whole. How to prove triangles are congruent and how we can use that information to help prove something else. So go ahead and write down any questions you have, and I look forward to supporting you on this. Thanks for listening.